Wow, I'm almost 35. I take that as an offense. Like, I'm offended. Hi, my name is Sadok Cervantes. I'm the managing director here at Leangap. I'm also a designer. I was named one of the most creative designers by Fast Company magazine. And today we're gonna take a look at some design videos of how movies and TV series think that design meetings happen, user research happens, UI design happens, and we'll see if they are accurate or not and what we can learn from them.
Oh my god, how did that happen? Jules, I know, I'm late for something.
Yeah, everything. You see why I take customer service calls? I mean, it's so good. You learn so much.
Several companies have this protocol or this framework where everyone, including the CEO and the VPs and whatever, need at least once a month or once every quarter, they need to, at least for a day, take customer service calls, answer customer support emails, because that will it's like on the fly user research. Design has a lot to do with user research, with talking to users. You don't have to know how to draw or be a good artist to be a tech designer. You actually have to be good with people. That's the main characteristic. That's why a lot of people that major in psychology end up working as UX designers or UX researchers or user researchers. What she's doing is getting in touch with the customers so that she can take those insights, like to not lose track. We as designers, as product owners, managers, CEOs, founders, whatever, we tend to assume that just because we can use something, then everybody can use it. And developers do this a lot of time. That's why you see a lot of really bad websites. The developers think that if I can click this, then everybody's gonna know that that thing is clickable.
Okay, you guys have to remember the homepage has to read in a glance. Right. Also, you have to get back like this if you want to see what it looks like if you're like over 35.
Wow, I'm almost 35. I take that as an offense. Like, I'm offended. What she's saying is right though. There's a principle in design that everything needs to be scannable. Kind of like when you are driving on the freeway and you encounter a billboard. Billboard design agencies have this rule or framework where you need to get the entirety of the message in 3 seconds, because that's the average time that you can look at a billboard when you are moving, right? When users visit your website, you only have 3 seconds to get them interested on your website. People decide in those 3 seconds whether they want to scroll further and spend more time on it, or they will just close the tab and that's it. So what she's saying is pretty accurate. Like, you need to take everything at a glance. And that thing about the 35, well, that's just offensive.
What do you want me to see? 5 girls, 1 shirt, or check out the fit?
Well, both, but what I really want you to see is the shirt worn by 5 different body types.
So he's saying, oh, I want you to see both. That's a whole lot of nonsense, because humans don't have the ability to take everything all at once. Like, we need, like, multitasking is actually a myth. That's not real. You focus on a task and then you kind of like mechanically or automatically do the other ones. Which, for example, when you're driving a car and then you're listening to a podcast, your brain is listening to the podcast and then your body is just in auto mode driving the car. You can't do that. But you can't do 2 intellectually difficult tasks at once. And reading is not one of them. It's like reading 2 books at once. That doesn't make sense. So he's saying, I want you to look at both. And in design, you have to guide the user to where you want them to look. It's not that the movie is inaccurate. That's actually pretty accurate. A lot of designers do that. That's why there's a lot of distractions on websites, and sometimes you go to a website and you don't even know what that website is about until like 30 seconds in.
The photo grid bigger. I love that 5. Can we make it more graphic? Yeah, that's cool.
So he did in 2 seconds what usually takes at least, even with the shortcuts or whatever, usually takes at least probably like 20 minutes or half an hour, right? So, I mean, it's not that long, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, you can do it, not 2 seconds.
Yep.
Mia, tell me the thing again.
Oh, 40% of our visitors don't go past the homepage, which isn't so bad.
Yeah, but we should fix that.
We should fix that, but she doesn't say why. Design in terms of websites, apps, and whatever, you need to remember that you are hired to create an outcome. You're not hired to make things pretty. Pretty things usually create the outcome, but it's not the main thing. Why do we want people to stay longer on the homepage? We need that metric. We as designers can't propose any solutions unless we know what the outcome is that we're trying to get to, if that makes sense. She doesn't know. That's why that line is so, like very out there. Like we need to fix it, but why?
What can I do for you? I'm heading the design team that's building the enclosure for the box. It's time for the concept meeting. Concept meeting.
Developers are alien to any creative things. So even for me, a concept meeting sounds like, I don't know. We don't call them like that, but okay.
I'm just gonna show you a few pictures and you tell me which ones you like, okay? Okay.
That's a design pitching 101. Never ask what the client likes, because when you ask that, then you're asking something entirely subjective, and if it's subjective, then it will never get done, because maybe he or she likes the color here but not the font, and maybe in this other version they like the font but not the color, but then if you combine both they still don't like it, because likability is the metric here. The question he should be asking is, tell me if it will work, something outside of their own subjectivity, of their own personalities, because at the end of the day, remember that we are hired to create an outcome. Sometimes that outcome is sales. So tell me the thing that you think will get us sales, not the thing that you will like.
Wait, hold on. I thought you were going to show me pictures of boxes, like data storage devices. Before I can actualize a box, you and I need to develop a shared aesthetic vocabulary.
Shared aesthetic vocabulary, it doesn't exist. Like, that's just a whole bunch of nonsense. What could be is a shared understanding, and shared understanding is not really something specific to design. Shared understanding is where everyone is on the same page, basically, about a specific concept. Shared aesthetic vocabulary is not it. Sometimes what we do is we create mood boards, and mood boards are a combination of styles. Think of it like a collage of styles, of the same style, and then we present that to the client. Maybe we present 2 mood boards, or 3 even. Maybe one is a dark version, or like darker color palette, and then the other one is light, so that the client can imagine the box in this case, or their website, their mobile app, or whatever, in those styles. But it's nothing like that, no, like this.
I have a lot of work to do right now. This is work. This is my work.
This is very sad, because designers have been asking for a seat at the table for so long, and it is until recently that they kind of have a seat on the table where they can contribute to the strategic decisions of the company. And right now, the developer doesn't think that this is actual work, and then the designer is like, but this is work, like we need to do it. And it's kind of like the designer asking, my work matters, and I say that it's very sad because it's still not there yet. Coincidentally, a lot of design-driven companies, companies that have been founded by designers and that are very design-driven, like Netflix, like Airbnb, are very big. So that's why a lot of companies are shifting their focus or giving more seat at the tables to design, but it's not there yet.
Looks like, okay, if it was up to me, I wouldn't even have it in the first place. So look, here, this is a flat rectangle. Make it that, all right? Just make it a box.
You need to understand that it's not about the box itself or how it will look, is the decision behind to buy one. And that's why a lot of hard drives, a lot of mainframes, servers, whatever, have these crazy names, Barracuda, or Thunderbolt and things like that. None of them are called rabbit or turtle, right? Because a turtle is slow or a rabbit is soft. They want like a strong name like our new hard drive, Barracuda. It's all branding. It's all to cater to the emotion that the decision maker is gonna appeal to.
What is that? Well, it's a box. That's not our box, is it?
This is the result of asking for subjective opinions. So as a developer, he doesn't care about the design, but as a human, he does. And he looks at this black box and there's no emotion. There's nothing that he can connect to. As a human, he wants something else.
No one's caring about this. I'm just saying, like, it's just a matter of pride and like self-respect. I mean, that's going to go in brochures, man. It's like an advertisement to
Branding.
you and the company and everything. I could maybe ask some call. Yeah. Well, hey, what are you doing standing around here talking about it? You should go do it. You know, go ahead and make the damn thing. Make it a jaguar, because I have a feeling this baby is going to purr.
You know, I think maybe a gazelle is more like it. Cheetah's faster. It kills gazelles. But I really don't fucking care.
They really don't care, but they are sure making their opinions heard. They want their own personality into the product, and that's what we do.
So when we put our files into a Pied Piper folder, they get split up into tiny bits and spread across a network of other users' devices.
This is usability testing, user research testing, kind of like focus groups for TV series and all of that. Usually they are done like one-on-one. They're not particularly done as focus groups, only when it's like big corporates, you know, like Microsoft or Facebook or whatever. But usually is one-on-one. A one-on-one interview could be remote, could be on site. Yeah, I mean, this is a potential setting, but it's not usually the norm.
That's awesome.
Isn't it? Yeah. So, what do you think? Will you use Pied Piper now?
Yeah, I think I will.
Me too. Now that you've explained how it works.
There you go. That's what we've been aiming for.
So, user research is not like this. Like, he is not supposed to explain anything. In design, there's concepts called the 10 heuristics. They talk about how a system should be self-explanatory even. You always need to see the system status, you always need to understand what's going on, because you won't have a specific salesperson or the founder of the company explaining the product to every single user everywhere in the world. That's not feasible. That's not scalable. That's not possible. That's why a lot of apps have tutorials or a lot of documentation, a lot of instruction videos and whatever. That's just a bad product trying to be fixed by external things. You know, a proper user research session usually goes like, what do you think of what you're seeing right now on the screen? What do you think happens when you click this? Is this what you expected? What about if I ask you to book a flight to New York? Can you do that, please? And then you see how they do it and if they can find their way around it without you explaining anything.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Pied Piper. How can I help you?
If you are Gen Z or whatever, you might not remember this, but Microsoft Word used to have this thing called Clippy, which was like a little clip, like a paper clip, that would explain things to you because interfaces back then were so complicated. You needed to fix that complexity with external resources, like I just explained. Their interface is very bad and it's very complicated. So the investors, I think, were like, we need to fix this. And the easiest way to fix it is by tutorials, you know? It's not the most efficient one, but it's by tutorials. And that's why you have this pipey character.
You know, with Pied Piper's revolutionary neural network optimized sharded data distribution system, it's just 6 clicks away.
Okay, so what the hell is that? Okay, so he said something interesting, 6 clicks away. There's something called friction in design. You might know friction from your physics classes or science classes, whatever, as the amount of resistance that an object does to another or experiences when it is moving, right? And in design, we call friction to the number of steps that you need to take in order to get from point A to point B. Let's say that point A is you, landing on the homepage of something, and point B is downloading a file. So when you encounter a large resistance of 6 clicks or 10 clicks or whatever, you're less likely to use the product again. Apps like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, the reason we use them a lot is because they're so mindless to use. There's no friction at all. Like, well, there is friction, but it's so smooth that you can use them every day without being tired or being burnt out. Like, you can just scroll infinitely. There's this term that was made popular by Don Norman in his book, The Design of Everyday Things, this term called cognitive load. And cognitive load is just a fancy way of saying mental work, how much you have to put your mind to work to do something. Now, the cognitive load that I'm getting from this screen in particular, like, look at all the text and all the text boxes and all the buttons. Like, I have to drop everything I'm doing and focus on that particular window to see or to understand what's going on. That's a lot of cognitive load. Compare that to watching the next video on TikTok.
Well, after the booths at CES and South by Southwest, all of our outreach, Dodge Challenger, plus all the cost of working up, this, we are pretty much all out of money.
So the proper way of fixing this is redesign, but there's a lot of complexity in that. It's not just hiring a designer, there's a lot of development work behind it as well. So the way to fix it is with external things, just like I was mentioning. And this external thing is in the form of this annoying character. Thank you for coming on this kind of painful journey with me as a designer. Watching this sort of scenes is sometimes painful because it's like, oh my God, just do this or just do what, it's so easy. It stems from, again, the need to have a seat at the table, a seat at the strategic decision-making table for designers, At Leangap, we teach our high school students how to do proper design, how to reduce the friction of their apps and websites without using things like PyP or Clippy or Leangap or however you want to call it, or tutorials. We do this by teaching them real-world concepts and launching them in the real world. If you like this type of content, subscribe, and if you don't like this type of content, close the tab in 3 seconds. Bye.